Hello friends, welcome to Dots of Destiny. Today's topic is the planet Ketu. Ketu is a very spiritual and mystical planet, and wherever it sits in the horoscope, that is where we had done some excess karma, or maybe that karma we have done too much in previous lifetimes, so that now Ketu sitting over there will bring some of those karmas and will lead us towards Rahu. Those karmas can be neutralized only with the help of Rahu, because Ketu is a very internalized energy. It's not a very receptive energy. Ketu, as we call it, it is Virakti. Rahu is Asakti. We want to do that. Ketu is Virakti. What is the reason behind it? That is very, it's a little different from the karma of Saturn. Because see, Saturn, wherever it is sitting, that karma has to be done. It's the karma karak. We had put some negligence into that karma. We have to do it to our fullest capacity, whether we want it or not. If it's the Lagna Lord is Saturn and sitting in some house, we want to do it. If it is an enemy planet of that Lagna, maybe we don't want to do that work of Saturn. But Ketu's karma is different. It will, wherever Ketu is sitting, some karma will be generated, especially during the eclipse time. What happens is that during the eclipses, that's why we always have a solar eclipse followed by a lunar eclipse. Ketu is the point where we will have an inlet of the karma that was already being performed in the previous lifetimes, and then some kind of little bit pending karma, or maybe that karma again has to be repeated in some value, so that Ketu takes us with that karma and from the knowledge of Jupiter towards Rahu. That's why we say that Ketu in Jupiterian sign works well, because Ketu is the inlet of that karma which will take us towards our this life, what we are here to do, that is Rahu. Rahu is the energy that attaches us to this Bhuloka, and Jupiter is the knowledge. Once Ketu sits in the sign of Jupiter, it is even better, because we get the knowledge that how to solve this karma. Otherwise, Ketu slowly blocks us, because we have been doing that karma so much in the previous lifetimes that we are very used to that karma where Ketu is sitting, and we want to constantly fidget with that house. But Ketu do not want excess anywhere. Excess is Rahu. Ketu is the bare minimum possible, to keep it simple and bare minimum. So that is how this axis, the dance of Rahu and Ketu, works. So Ketu is very important, the tail from where we begin. Taking the help and knowledge of Jupiter, we can go towards Rahu. So let us see how Ketu in 12 houses gives us what kind of treatment and in what way for all the 12 houses from 1 to 12. See, the house placement of Ketu is very important. Wherever Ketu is sitting, some kind of weirdness, strangeness, deficiency will be there, lackness regarding that house. How much will be given to that house still? Ketu is a black hole. It takes inside everything. That kind of a lackness will always be felt wherever Ketu is sitting. That is the problem with Ketu. Ketu and Rahu are very difficult to understand and deal with. There are two ways these nodes actually work. One is the everyday mundane life level that we see, and one is the spiritual or the higher uplifted horoscopes, the way they deal with Rahu Ketu. Two are very different, because see, Ketu is headless planet. It do not has a head, so it thinks from the heart. So see, Ketu can make a terrorist and it can make a saint also, because both are internalized energies. A terrorist never questions why I am doing this, because they so much believe in it. That is the belief. That is Ketu. The belief is so strong from the heart, from within, that the question never arises, why should I do this? The saint is also, see, somewhere in seclusion they spend their life, and they believe that yes, the Almighty, the pieces that we come from is from that one whole universe, and they merge with it internally. Both work in the same kind of way, but one is through the 3D effect, that is the normal world in which we are living, and one through the higher 5D effect. Now that effect of Rahu Ketu is created by the overall theme of the horoscope, how uplifted the horoscope is. So it is not very easy to understand Rahu and Ketu. I'll try to point out the main points, how it affects the when sitting, Ketu sitting in from the 1st to the 12th houses. So let us explore Ketu. Ketu in the 1st house. The person can be a little shy, introvert, not wanting to mingle with the world, do not want the spotlight, need some seclusion. They have an innate spiritual quality to them. It will be there, whether they express it or not, because there is some understanding that they do not want to grab the spotlight, and they want some kind of higher knowledge in their life. Why the things are happening, why I am weird, that question will always be with them. Now the problem with Ketu is that whenever it is situated or posited with another planet, it will affect that planet. So here, if always in all the 12 houses, if there is a single Ketu, it is better. If it is situated with a planet, it usually the planet Ketu sits with loses its value mostly, because see, Ketu is like a black hole. Anything you put into it, it just takes and takes and takes. It's the original Scorpio house. Ketu is the ruler of Scorpio. So when Ketu is sitting on the Lagna, the qualities of that Scorpio 8th house will be found in that person. They will believe in occult, they will have a weird kind of personality, little bit away from people. People, when they see them, they will understand they are not the usual type, and they will also feel that somewhere they are misfit among the groups. So this kind of a weirdness Ketu gives to the personality. So here, when 7th Rahu is, their attention goes to the 7th house, and they want to be recognized by the 7th house. That is what the partner. They want that we should have a partner who gives a kind of recognition to the world, because they know that they themselves are unable to find that recognition. But having said that, there are many celebrities also having Ketu on the Lagna. It usually gives a lean, tall type of figure, and many celebrities are there. Those celebrities are actually they happen to be a celebrity due to the whole horoscope what they are having, not because they wanted to be one. So their art and culture or whatever work they are in, they are so skilled at it. They did get that power or the recognition, but it was not that they was trying to hog the limelight all the time. That is how Ketu is. Silently they work, not that they are headless. Yeah, they sometimes can feel bit confused, because Ketu sitting on the head can give lot of confusion in the life, and especially dealing with the relationships, they get lot of troubles from the 7th house, because Rahu being there will start generating problems, and then they have to face these problems. So who is facing? The Lagna. So first house Ketu is sitting. So sometimes they are unable to fathom how to deal with these things, partnership, the world, whether they feel sometimes I am a bit burdened with things. People are taking away my share of what can you say, the share of success that I did. It's been taken away from me, or rather I am not getting the kind of goodwill or good vibes that I should be getting. Sometimes they feel deprived. That is the issue with Ketu in the first house. So it's not an easy position, first house position. A person has to be very careful and should go for higher knowledge than excess indulgence with the seventh house, because it will only add more to the confusion. That is the problem with Ketu in the first. Now Ketu in the second house. Second house is our Kutumsthan, the food we eat, the family we stay, the speech we say, all these things is second house. Now second house Ketu can be sometimes very weird, in the sense that they have a strange food habit that is not understood by people. Why they want to eat, why they don't want to eat, and they are very nitpicky and particular about things. That is a thing that is seen with Ketu in the second. Sometimes the language can be foul, can be. If there is a bad aspect, or Ketu is not in a good sign, or it is also seen, see how Rahu and Ketu works in different realms. If not a foul language, the language, if it's in a Jupiterian sign, Pisces, Sagittarius, or respected by Jupiter, they will talk more than their age, which is difficult for others to understand. That's why wherever Ketu is, there is some kind of difficulty. Maybe the family they are raised in is a little difficult or little different or spiritual from the normal families that they see all around them. These things Ketu gives, because Ketu is weird, Ketu is different. So that some kind of problem Ketu will give, some kind of weirdness it gives to the second house. They may have to stay separated from the family. They may have to leave their family early age, maybe to a boarding hostel somewhere, or for job purpose, something. Education, second house is on the education. Early childhood education can be marred. If the fourth house is good or fifth is good, later it will be good. But the early stages of the education can have a lot of problem, Ketu being in the second house. So see, it's a high level malefic, and it's the inlet of the previous life karma. So those karma we have come with from the previous lifetime, and now we have to negate them, because Ketu does not want one to engage too much with the second house thing. Simple. Wherever Ketu is sitting, if it is sitting in the second house, it will be blocking you from the things of the second house. Unless there is a very benefic aspect of Jupiter or Venus or a full moon, something like that. Otherwise, Ketu will create problems in the second house. Problems with the family members, not being understood by the family members, all these things Ketu can create. And how much you try to do, maybe later in life also, you try to do too much for them. You want to carry out your responsibilities, but that satisfaction level, they will not be getting satisfaction from the karma that is done by you, and you will also giving to that area will ultimately fail in your mind that there is of no use. Just like that. So Ketu should not be dealt with indulgence. It is bare minimum, simple, should be kept wherever Ketu is sitting. So second house, food, family, education, the grown-up years, all these can be a bit challenging. That is there. Third house Ketu is about the younger siblings, the neighborhood, and these things are hobbies. Here I have seen that usually they can be good in some kind of a hobby, some kind of a talent they can have regarding the hobby, like dancing, singing, some good speech quality, sharp tongue, And if they are in advertising, media and all this, maybe they'll be doing it, they'll not like it that much, but maybe due to reasons they have to do it. The younger sibling will be strange and weird, and the connection with the younger sibling will not be great. How much will be done for the younger sibling, that from that area it will be a vacuum, like it will be going into the black hole again, because Ketu is like, if you put on a lot of effort also into that area fails to give things in return. That is how Ketu works. That is the energy of Ketu. So wherever Ketu is, when Ketu is sitting in the third house, some strangeness is felt with the neighboring people also, and also there can be change of houses or locations. In if there is a Ketu dasha going on or something, there can be frequent cut off from the neighbors, so there can be change of locations. So these things can happen. So Ketu is that kind of a planet where too much given to that area also never helps, because it goes into the black hole. Ketu is the ruler of the Scorpio sign. It brings the energy of Scorpio to that area. So third house, whatever third house deals with, whether neighbors, whether brothers, whether your hobbies or whatever, it goes through a transformation. It is very transformative in its approach, Ketu, in the third house, everywhere. And third house significance are somewhere it is marred. Maybe you want to pursue extracurricular activities. Suppose you want to learn singing, maybe you did not get the chance to do it because Ketu did not allow that. Because Ketu is the things that wherever Ketu is sitting, suppose in the third house, we have excessively dealt with those things in the previous lifetime. Now it is Rahu, because you will see whenever there is Ketu in third house and Rahu in the ninth house, very difficult to keep the faith alive, because ninth house is the house, original Sagittarius house of faith. The faith always asks for some questions, Rahu being there, because Rahu is a very crooked planet, and whether it will give excess some show off. Rahu is a show off business, Ketu is not show off. Rahu in the ninth, because Ketu is there in the third, it is telling you to go towards the ninth house. Now either the person will have a show of faith that they go to the temples and all this, and they actually don't believe in it, or they totally discard it, something like that, in this axis of 3-9. And so here Ketu works in this way, and otherwise it is not a bad position. Being an Upachaya house, being a effort oriented house, Ketu gives very sharp effort, razor sharp effort, but decisions can be too much quickly taken at a snapshot. That should be avoided, because decisions, Ketu is a headless planet. One must understand that again and again. If a sudden decision is taken, mostly it can go wrong. So decision making here, usually people tend to take very fast decision. That is not required. A little bit subtle approach is required. Fourth house. Fourth house Ketu is like a very strange relationship can be with the mother, with the native land, can have to go far from the native land for some problem can be with the house that they are living, some problem can be there, or they do not want to come back to the house. They do not get that kind of a nurturing, because see, fourth house is a very soft house. It is the nurturing house, original Cancer house, and Ketu being there creates some kind of a rough patchy area, can create in that area. That is the nature of Ketu. Or some transformative, maybe the home was a very secure and safe place, it changed into a very different kind of a place. So because Ketu is a Krur Graha, it is a different kind of a graha. It is not here to make you attached to that area, because you have dealt so many lifetimes with that fourth house, with your mother, with your comfort area, with your homeland, staying there, loving there, want to be being there. Ketu will cut you from there. It wants you to go away somewhere else and show your adaptability towards life. show that you can adapt to other situations. You are not just sitting at home and being comfortable. If you are there, I have seen people with 4th house Ketu still living in their motherland, still in the comfort zone. Then there will be something problem with the house that they're living, or they fail to achieve anything in their lifetime. That can be if they're living in the same area where they have been living for ages. These things can happen. Or some problem with the house they're living. House can be shabby, not very orderly. If not very, like Ketu is in Libra or sitting with Venus or something like that, and their concentration is on the 10th house. So 10th house is your daily karma. 10th house, not daily karma exactly, the karma that we perform, the bunch of karma that we come. Our profession is one of them. So they love to stay outside the house most of the time. They don't want to come inside the house. Some kind of virakti, they don't want to carry out the responsibilities of the 4th house. So Ketu creates a very weird situation in the 4th and the 10th axis. So whenever Ketu is in the 4th, Rahu is in the 10th, or the otherwise, Rahu is in the 4th, Ketu in the 10th, this lifetime they're here to transform. That is for sure. Because 1-7 and 4-10 is the axis. Wherever Rahu Ketu is, whenever Rahu and Ketu is situated these axes, this lifetime they will change. They will change in some way, definitely. That because it is the Kendra houses. Whenever Rahu Ketu is in the Kendra houses, a big transformation is waiting to happen. Whether it happens at the age of 35 or 65 or 55, that's irrelevant. But definitely in this birth time, some kind of big change is waiting to happen that needs to be accepted, that needs to be worked with. Because Rahu Ketu are such nodes that they'll push you towards that acceptance, and whether good and bad, you have to live with it, that change, because it's a transformation. Okay, now 5th house Ketu. 5th house is the progeny house. The progeny can be little different from the other people, can be weird, can come late, because Ketu gives little bit late progeny, and it can be a male child, and the child can be a little can be shy, can be different in approach, cannot take as a regular child, has to be handled in a different way. See, Ketu in the 5th is a Purva Punya. 5th is the house of Purva Punya. So whatever good things that you have done, Ketu will be bringing them out. If there is a Ketu Dasha, or if Ketu is situated in good sign, and that dispositor is your Atmakaraka, or a very important planet in your horoscope, definitely Ketu will bring out all those slowly, not in one day, will bring out those Purva Punya from the 5th house and will make you work toward Rahu, because Rahu in the 11th becomes a very powerful Rahu, because it's a blank chart kind of a prediction. Rahu in the 11th is the original place of Rahu. Like Ketu embodies the 8th house, it is the Scorpio Ketu. So Ketu is the co-ruler of Scorpio, Rahu is the co-ruler of Aquarius. So Rahu embodies the Aquarius energy, the 11th house. So here, do not, because the child may come a little late, you can have a single child, you want to, put too much effort into it, because you are comfortable with children, you have done that. Ketu is the job that we have done in our previous lifetimes. But you have to keep it simple, you have to keep it short. Don't indulge too much with your progeny. Let it be there. Yes, spend quality time with and then try to go towards Rahu. That is the 11th house which is calling you. Here what I have seen is that love life is usually marred. There are strange incidences, and there are it comes with ending. Maybe not a permanent ending, but it ends in such a way that it is understood that this affair or this relationship cannot be carried on for a longer period of time. Some strangeness is there. See, Ketu is very difficult to fathom what kind of energy it comes and gives you, because it is not a very normal planet. It works in a very, maybe you'll have some plutonic kind of love affair in this lifetime. That can also happen. You still feel the love, you feel the connection, everything, but it is not there with you all the time. So there the acceptance must come, and you should not be, if one is suppose these kind of, I have seen this again and again, one relationship is cut, they go to another, the third, the fourth. It will not work in that way. It will not work in that way, as simple as that. Ketu is not here to make you over indulgent in the place where it is sitting. It will not work. You have to understand that you have to, if that relationship is not working or something, then you have to let it go, and you better not go too much into if the 7th house is good, you can go for a marriage, but too much of love matters and these things will not help in the long go. Ketu will cut it from there, it will cut it short, because that is how the planet works in the 5th house. So maybe the mental happiness can be marred, it can happen, the mental happiness can take a toll, that can happen with Ketu in the 5th, because it is our intelligence. But they usually, Ketu in the 5th has razor sharp intelligence, they have that cutting intelligence that they have, because Ketu is a very cutting planet and very piercing planet, that kind. So that is the 5th Ketu. 6th house Ketu is like some difficulties with the daily chores. They don't feel satisfied with the daily life that they are leading. If not very good quality planets are sitting with Ketu, this is what I have seen. Suppose Ketu is sitting with Venus, Mercury or something, then maybe they feel not bad in their daily life, but the significance of those planets will be harmed definitely. Whenever say Ketu is sitting with the planet, significance of that planet is harmed, and 6th house Ketu will give edge over your enemies, that it will give, because you have that mastery of the 6th house. That is why Ketu is sitting. And keep it simple, keep it low lying, everyday jobs, whatever you are doing, be with it, don't overindulge with it, and don't go too overboard with it, because understand, it is the position of Rahu, it is not the original position of Ketu. Ketu wants to be in the 12th house, the Pisces is where Ketu wants to be. That is the position of Ketu. It wants seclusion, it wants renunciation. But 6th house is like dealing with people every day, your subordinates. They can be strange, they can be like, you will not feel satisfied with their work, you want to put your onus on them, you want to make them work like you want it to be, or these things can happen with Ketu in the 6th. And usually people with the 6th house Ketu, they don't want to take loans, and they want to pay off the loans as far as possible, because Ketu is not comfortable with loans and rogue, rin, shatru, all these things. Some weird strange diseases not detectable. Usually Ketu gives a robust health in the 6th house, but if diseases come, they are difficult to analyze what kind of a disease is that. That is how Ketu works in the 6th. They want to be loan free, they want to be enemy free, and they want to be disease free, because Ketu do not want to deal with all these things. But if it happens, a disease, if it at all happens, then it can be difficult to fathom how it happened, why it happened. And usually they don't play with loans too much in the 6th house. Loans will be getting cleared off unless the dispositor where Ketu is sitting is very badly placed or something. Otherwise loans are limited and will be paid off in time. So that is how Ketu works in the 6th house. Now the 7th house Ketu. 7th house Ketu gives lot of ups and downs in the marital life, first and foremost. 7th house is a very sensitive point of Ketu. A person wants to get married, but marriage usually never brings satisfaction to that kind of a placement. And it is as fast as they understand that it is not about the partner, because Rahu is sitting on the Lagna and I am too engrossed with myself, it is easier to accept that whatever kind of energy comes to the 7th house, they will not be in a satisfactory phase with that kind of a person. Now Ketu yes, Ketu has its own problems of giving deceptions also. Ketu is deception and illusion. So whenever it comes to the 7th house, it gives illusion about the people with they are trying to engage with or getting married to. That is there. That is a problem with Ketu in the 7th. And after realizing that, after certain years, either if the dasha permits, you can get separative tendency of Ketu will be there, you can get separated, or if you don't want to, or if you do not have the ability to take the decision, then it's like staying together, but with just an adjustment kind of a thing. So here this 1/7 axis of Rahu Ketu is a very, very changing axis. See, I told that whenever Rahu and Ketu is in the 1/7 and 4/10 axis, this lifetime they will have some big transformations. That is just waiting to happen. At what period of time it starts, whether it starts at 30, 40, 50, 60, that is irrelevant. But the transformation will happen. They are here to understand that whatever they have conjured up on their head, especially Rahu being on the Lagna, is a very, it is good for career growth, self growth, but it is not a placement for relationship. That is why if you want to get married also, keep it simple in this condition. Do not indulge too much into it. Keep it simple. As simple a person you get. Ketu is a very saintly planet also. See, it is illusion, deception, and it is also a saint also. So if a person deeply rooted to higher thinking, higher philosophy, that kind of a touch is there with the person's personality, then the marriage can run for a long period of time, because that person itself will be in a quite detached manner. So that kind of characteristics is the embodiment of Ketu. So if you are getting engaged with a person who is not Ketu-ish type, what I'm trying to say, does not embody the energy of Ketu, then that marriage will not run for too long. That is to be understood. So those who have this arrangement, be very careful while going into a nuptial arrangement. This is not at all an easy position to handle, that is for sure. Yes. And if somebody wants to do a business over here, any kind of business related activities, Ketu being in the 7th, partnership is not advised, because this is not the area of partnership. Ketu being in the 7th is not allowing you to carry on the partnership for a longer period of time. So it is me. Rahu being in the 1st, you have to understand that you are the person who is the soul. You have to be the anchorage of the soul karma of your life. All the karma, you have to take it and move with it. You can Ganesha, taking the blessings of Ganesha or going to Ganesha temple can calm Ketu down and give you the wisdom, because Ganesha is wisdom. That is very much required when Rahu is in the 1st and Ketu is in the 7th. One of the very difficult positions that I have seen, though it can give immense fame, having said that still. So now Ketu in 8th. Ketu in 8th is a lot of problem with, 2nd 8th axis also a little bit quite a challenge, because 8th house is inheritances, other people's money, dealing with the in-laws, insurance, taxes, all these things. Ketu over here usually gives a lack. Usually, because 8th house Ketu is the significance of the Ketu is quite spoiled. Though it is the co-ruler of Scorpio, if Mars is good in your horoscope, then you can expect some inheritance, but otherwise Ketu will not give much from the in-laws side or from your parents side, and your getting other people's money, that capacity is lower. Can give some undetected disease, some long-term chronic diseases, Ketu. And Ketu is also operative. It can can you can get hurt in some parts, the lower parts of your body, your genitals, that there can be a disease can be detected from them. That kind of things Ketu does in the 8th house. It is one has to be very careful with Ketu in the 8th, and must pray Ganesha. Very important in this area, because dealing with the in-laws can also be very suffocating, because some kind of karma is related with the life after marriage. Because see, 8th house is the second house from the marriage house, so it puts up lot of virakti, lot of not wanting to deal with it, and neither able to go away from it. So that kind of a tug of war Ketu can happen in the 8th house, because Rahu is in the second. So money can flow out, the savings can go up and down. Rahu being there in the second, people can say foul languages, because Rahu is like that, can be a voracious eater, and due to eating habits, some problem with the 8th house path. So all these things, the second and the 8th axis is always very sensitive for the nodes. Whether Ketu being in the second and Rahu in the 8th, or Rahu in the second, Ketu in the 8th, it is quite a sensitive point. But one must understand there are some problems with the 8th house significations, like you may give some money into insurance, you may not get it at the proper time, it can happen. You may want some money from, you are expecting some money from the in-laws, maybe you have to give them in some form or the other, they will not be able to help you. That can happen. Some kind of hidden disease can happen. If the family life is disturbed because of the second Rahu, then Ketu in the 8th house can give strange affairs, secretive affairs, but those will not run for very long time. This is also a characteristics of the 8th house Ketu. So these things happens with Ketu in the 8th house. A very sensitive position needs to be handled carefully, because see, wherever the problem lies in the horoscope, one must detect it and rectify it. That is how astrology works. Good things will happen, whether irrelevant, whether one knows or do not know. Bad things will also happen, but if we can little bit deal with them and make us understand and deal it in a better way, it can be subdued little bit, it can be subdued in their giving of the bad results. That is how I perceive things. Now 9th house Ketu. 9th house Ketu is not bad, though because it is the original sign of Sagittarius, and Sagittarius is a Jupiterian sign. So 9th house Ketu has its own, it can be a good placement, not a bad placement, because Rahu in the 3rd gives good results. It is a Upachya house. So slowly you, due to over a period of time, can get attached to some kind of dharma. So the dharma can become important, if not in the early ages, in the a little bit, when the maturity sets in. Ketu matures at 48, that's a long time. So slowly maturity sets in, and one can understand one's dharma and can resort to spirituality, because Ketu activates more in the later part of the life. And there can be foreign journeys, but there can be sudden breaks in the journeys also. Maybe you planned something and suddenly it didn't fructify. That can also happen. But still pilgrimages to places, and then long distance journeys, and these things can suddenly happen. Suddenly, maybe you did not plan also, but sudden things are happening. In Ketu Mahadasha also things can happen in that way. Some problem with the father can be there, because 9th house is the father's house. If it is a good sign, then they can embody their father, they can take in the qualities of their father. If not in a good sign, aspected by malefic, something else, because wherever Ketu is sitting, if any other malefic planet is aspecting that house, whether Saturn, whether Mars, these malefics, if they are aspecting that house, then the significance of the house are very badly hampered. That I have seen for sure. So the fortune can be sudden, quick fortune can come depending on the sign, or there can be not so great fortune can come late, because third has Rahu will want to make you work and take decisions, and daily that lot of effort needs to be put in there. But sudden luck will also happen. And if it is a good planet is there with Ketu, there can be sudden bounce of fortune coming to you. You can feel fortunate, but still wherever Ketu is, one must understand some kind of vacuum will be felt. Some kind of, not receiving to the utmost quality of that house will be felt. These are characteristics of Ketu. We have to deal with Ketu in that way. That's the thing. 10th house Ketu, they can do their job, but intermittent job break will be seen. That is there. They can work well, but they will feel that they are not getting their dues. Bosses can be strange, and relationship with the father can also be distant and strange. This kind of position usually takes away from the native land, from there they are born. And sometimes people can, due to intermittent job breaks, too many job breaks and job changes, may want to go for a business. Suddenly some ideas can come regarding the 10th house. So that person wants to quit job and take on to a business kind of a thing. That can also happen. Now the thing with Ketu is that business can be done, but some very, it should be done in a very judicious way, because it's not Mercury sitting in the 10th house, neither it is like Mars sitting in the 10th house. So you have to understand that what are the pros and cons, whether if you switch on to a business, if you quit job, because job will change. That is a problem with the 10th house, because they sometimes get less paid and they do not get their dues in time, whether the promotion, whether the boss will be weird and not behaving properly with them, some kind of situation goes on. They feel that it's endless work, and how much energy you give into the 10th house, but it is not being appreciated. That kind of a situation Ketu creates. Sudden things can also happen, sudden promotions can also happen. But usually Ketu gives these kind of a problems till 45 years. After that Ketu slowly, because it matures at the age of 48, this planet, the south node Ketu matures at 48. So here at certain point of time, when you reach towards the 50, then you can have a mastery over certain things of the 10th house. Maybe you are the one, you can do a specific job in a specific way with none other can do it in the same way. That kind of a condition also Ketu can create in the 10th house. So 10th house Ketu will give some, some high level inspiration. They want to work for the higher good. That kind of a project is better. If somebody wants to go for business also, they should work for the higher good, not just for self. Because Ketu is that is why Ketu is very prominent in Sagittarius and Pisces, because Ketu wants to, it has a heart, right? It is not thinking with the brain. It wants to spread and do majority, good for majority. That is how I see Ketu in the 10th house. So that kind of a humanitarian project, or if a business what you are doing, or a job where you are giving help to a lot of people, that will satisfy Ketu. Put Ketu at a good place in your horoscope, where if it's in the 10th house. 11th house Ketu is again Upachya houses. Rahu does very good over here. Wherever Rahu does very good, Ketu is okay, not bad. It gives sudden gains, but some problems will be there with the elder siblings. So like the elder sibling and your elder sibling and you can have a distance between each other, not quite well understood, and some strangeness will be there with your networks. you may try to create a network, but it'll come to a sudden halt, a sudden close. That can also happen, because Ketu do not want any extra thing in that house. That is a problem with Ketu. It is not that you will not earn or you don't have the capacity to get gains or earns, but all are very moderated. Sudden gains, sudden large amounts can also come, but most of the time it is not an extravaganza. It's a simple house. Now 11th house is not a simple house. It is the highest of desires. Now maybe 1-2 desires will get fulfilled also, but you will be craving for more. You will want more, because see, Rahu-ish energy is there, and you will feel that I need more from this area, but Ketu will not give that more. Any more is not sufficient. How much you go overboard with Ketu, there will be some kind of a problem with that area. You will not feel satisfied with the area wherever Ketu is sitting. So you can have a large group, still you may feel that you are misfit. You slowly you'll be able to understand that no, it's not working. It is like I am for so you will be in a reclusive. You'll be coming out of it, and it will give you a kind of contemplative life with yourself. Not that you cannot go with groups, but not every day. It will be a very most of the time you have to be with yourself. That is what I am trying to say. It will give you moderate gains. It will give you moderate to good gains. Desire can be fulfilled, but it will not bring satisfaction in the kind of a house 11th house is. That is why Rahu gets so very powerful in the 11th house. It can use all its power over there, because Rahu is excess and Ketu is simplicity. These are the two nodes, very opposite to each other, very, very opposite. But in both cases, there is very less chances of getting satisfaction. Ketu, you'll give on, you want more, that it is not fulfilled, that area, and Rahu is excess, how much you get, you want even more. So in both cases, it is near about the same thing, nearly the same thing. Otherwise, 11th house is not bad for Ketu, but always those groups and circles which you have a craving that you want them, but you have so much indulge yourself with those so many groups, so many people, so many networking all over your previous life. Ketu wants you to leave that and go towards Rahu, but Rahu in the 5th is also a different story. So it gives a lot of problems with the mental thing. It gives a little obsession. The intellect is hijacked by Rahu. So that is a different topic. Rahu in the 5th. It's a little tricky area. People try to get overindulgent with their progeny. They want to go too much, in that area. Then also there is a problem, because you tend to lose yourself. The intellect gets too much obsessed with the 5th house things. So this balance is very important. In wherever axis Rahu and Ketu is sitting, the balance is very important. Now 12th house Ketu, I have no problem with this situation, unless that if it is a good sign, then it really makes you realize a lot of things in this lifetime. Only thing is that certain things will happen where your Rahu is in the 6th house. Rahu gives good punch in the 6th house. It is there to deal with Rog, Rin, Shatru. It is there. Rahu can really do well in the 6th house, but after dealing a lot with them, there will be a lot of realizations about the 12th house, because 12th house Ketu is exact fit of Ketu. What Ketu is, 12th house is. You cannot just hold on to anything, because see, Ketu is a planet who wants you to get internalized and sit for meditation. That is the 12th house. So once you get into that kind of a thing, you work and you then spend some time with yourself, with getting into that meditative state, getting into that seclusion, the solitariness, then a good balance is maintained. See, the Rahu Ketu axis, wherever it is, it calls for a good balance. Neither indulge too much in the 12th nor in the 6th. There is a balance. Yes, Rahu is a more receptive energy in the 6th house, and Ketu is more internalized energy. Nobody will be able to see that changes that are going on inside you. You may not want to make people realize that because you have 6th house Rahu, you want to go on with your daily chores very well, but internally some changes will keep on happening, which is the Ketu that is acting in the 12th house. Definitely after a period of time, and slowly as you reach 40, 45, 50, that changes will become very profound. Certain changes will hit your internal senses, and it will change towards the receptive, the energy you will receive from Ketu in the 12th. You will be able to understand that this is the higher things that the universe is going on. It's a very good placement actually. 12th house Ketu is the actual position of Ketu that can be, if really it can be dealt with in a very proper way, it gives us lot of realizations, lot of spirituality, lot of higher learning, and also foreign connections also. Many people can go and to foreign places, and they can work over there, they can be overseas. All these things are also if the dispositor is good, if the dispositor is well placed, then these significations are also it is good with Ketu. Ketu matches with these kind of energies. So this is the overall Ketu in the 12 houses, and there's lot of things to be said about Ketu. Maybe I have missed some points, I have told some. As days progress, I'll come up with Rahu Ketu different videos. So as of for now, have a good day, friends.